Hi guys, this is Mike from All About a Friend and welcome to my channel. Today I have three different sound interfaces here: the RME Fireface UFX2, the MOTU 828 ES and the Focusrite Scarlett 18i8 2nd Gen. And what I will do is to basically record tracks through each of these units. So I will use the built-in preamps and the AD conversion. All tracks are recorded using a looper pedal, so there are no differences in performance, and I will use the same cables, even the USB cable is the same. For the first sample, a bass track, I will use a Korg micro Korg, which is fed by a MIDI track. So again, no differences in performance. And at the end of this video, I will give you my personal opinion on how these units sound, what I thought of them, how they performed, etc, etc. Okay, so first line is a bass line, courtesy of the Korg micro Korg. Enjoy. Okay guys, welcome back. So now I'll tell you my opinion. And let's talk about the obvious first. As soon as you have all those three interfaces right in front of you, you'll notice that the only interface that feels like a professional unit is the RME. Sorry to Focusrite and sorry to MOTU, but I mean just small examples. Look at that. The XLR inputs, just in this example. Compared to this, there's nothing happening here. This is solid. In comparison to the Fireface, the MOTU and the Scarlett feel a little bit like toys. I have dust and a fret or a hair under the display of my MOTU. I don't know if you can see it in this shot, but it's there. And of course it's not that visible once the unit is actually on, but still, you know. And look, another thing, a magic trick. I touch one button and the other 5 are moving. I mean, sure, these are all just small details, but there are no such things on the Fireface. On the Fireface, all feels solid, all feels sturdy. That's, you know, good old German engineering for you. And I would say that even on the Focusrite, the quality of build is better than on the MOTU. So first place in this category goes to the RME, then Focusrite, then MOTU. Now, let's talk about the sound. I was quite surprised that there isn't actually that much of a difference when it comes to the quality of the preamps and the analog digital conversion, which just goes to show how great even cheap interfaces have become, or at least how solid stuff by Focusrite is. I had a first generation Scarlett 18i8 and I compared it to the second one when that came out, and there was a clear difference in fidelity. In this shootout, there isn't so much of a difference. I would say Focusrite really stepped up their game. I would also say that the preamps and the AD conversion on the Scarlett and the MOTU sound almost the same. You get a tiny little bit more detail in the mid section on the MOTU, but they both sound very warm and musical. The Fireface, on the other hand, sounds more precise, a little bit bigger, the bass is deeper, the highs are more pronounced. But I feel like there's a little bit missing in the midsection. But all of these differences, I mean, these are no differences that you couldn't correct with a good EQ and a 1 dB boost on the bass and the treble. You know, they are so small. Which brings me to another point where there really is a difference. Although MOTU advertises the ESS Sabre 32-bit digital analog conversion chip in this unit, after going back and forth for quite some time, I can clearly say that the Fireface, the RME Fireface, has the best digital analog conversion in the shootout. Music you hear through this unit sounds very detailed. There is a very wide stereo spectrum. It's that clean that it almost feels like a surgical instrument. Again, musical isn't the word I would use to describe the Fireface, but very precise, which I reckon might be great for mixing and mastering. The MOTU and the Scarlett both sound a tiny little bit muddier, but at the same time warmer and more musical. But again, please bear in mind that we are really talking about small, very small details here. You can definitely produce great music on all three devices. Okay, what else? Let's talk about drivers and mixers. So I didn't want to download 3 different drivers on my Windows 10 workstation, and so I used my Windows 8 laptop. Downloading and installation of the drivers wasn't a problem in any instance. However, I noticed that the mixer of the MOTU took really long to load or change settings. The Fireface and the Scarlett both use unique programs that you have to install, right? While the MOTU uses your web browser to view the mixer, which is coded into the unit itself. I mean, maybe it was the browser on my laptop, I use Firefox there. But every change I tried to make on the MOTU took a couple of seconds. Again, that might be completely different on your PC or laptop, I just thought I'll mention it. Definitely the fastest experience, by the way, I had with mixers in this shootout was on the RME mixer. That thing just loads and changes settings super fast. Okay, let's talk about features for a second. Here, in my opinion, MOTU wins. It only has 2 mic preamps, but I really like the 2 colorful displays. I really like that you have buttons on the interface for not 1, but 2 sets of speakers. That is just awesome. And I really like that this thing has 2 hot-wired sends on the back that are connected to the 2 inputs on the front. That's a great solution for hooking up output gear and not worrying about conversation latency or changes in sound. I really wonder why RME hasn't thought about that. Unfortunately, there's one big problem on the MOTU that really is a no-go for me. Whenever you turn this thing on or off, there is a very loud clicking noise coming through your headphones or speakers. I realize these are just the relays, right? But it still bugs me. And that's one of the advantages of the Scarlett actually. It has analog controls on the front, so you can turn your headphones and your monitor speakers to a very low volume, basically mute them, and you won't hear any clicking sounds when you turn the Scarlett on or off. The RME, on the other hand, has no analog controls. You know, the knobs on the front just control the digital levels, and there is a sound coming through the outputs when you turn it on or off, but it's nowhere near as loud. It's more like a very bassy click sound, right? The MOTU, however, almost gave me a heart attack. The noise is loud and sharp, and I really haven't found a workaround except for disconnecting my headphones before you turn this thing off and, turning the monitors off. And when you turn it on, bear in mind to not connect any headphones and leave your speakers turned off. That's the workaround. But I mean, seriously, this is 2018. Couldn't they have thought of something, Okay, so sorry for my rant. Well, okay, let's come to a conclusion. And I'll say it again. All three interfaces deliver solid results. If you can't get a good sound out of even the Focusrite Scarlett, it's not the fault of the interface, right? For me personally, I wanted an upgrade from the Scarlett. Not because it lacks inputs, but because it lacks outputs and has limited routing possibilities. And so I really wanted to keep the MOTU. It's cheap, it's sexy, it has two beautiful displays, 2 cents, controls for 2 sets of speakers on the front, and it's just fun to look at and play around with. It definitely has loads of that infamous mojo, right? But in the end, I came to the conclusion that quality is paramount, and so I decided to keep the RME, precisely because of the quality of its hardware and its software. I mean, yes, it costs more than the other two interfaces combined, and no, the sound is not twice as good. I wouldn't even say it's 10% better, maybe 5% better. But at least I have the feeling with the Fireface that it will last the next 10 years and will be supported by RME no matter what, and has a good resale value if one day I decided to sell it anyway. This for me is not an instrument, right? It's a tool of precision. It has zero mojo, and therefore the mojo has to come from somewhere else. But if you don't need or don't want a clinical tool, then do yourself a favor and try out either a Scarlett 2nd Gen or one of these new MOTU AFB interfaces. They have great price for value, they have cool features, and they are just fun to work with. And they are cheap enough, so you won't have that feeling of like handling them with gloves, right? If they break down, hell, you just buy another one, right? Okay, so this was my shootout. I hope you liked it. Please leave a comment and subscribe if you haven't already. See you next time. Bye.